Alright everyone, now it's time to talk about an age-old conundrum. This has been sort of the thing for the GOP since the end of the Reagan era. The Republicans often try to play kind of nice, and there are some Republicans that play dirty, but they tend to be more rare, whereas the Democrats exploit the legal system, etc., etc. I say this as a nonpartisan. I am not a Republican. Hence why I win at life. The conundrum is this. Link in the description, archived of course. It talks about some examples, the more recent ones, where this dynamic is at play. So for instance, George Santos gets thrown under the bus, gets thrown out of Congress. When you don't even have any proof that he's done anything wrong. They didn't wait for a trial or anything like that. Bob Menendez is claimed to have embezzled a shit ton of money from Egypt and weird stuff like that, like stuffing gold bricks into his suit and bringing him back on his plane and stuff like that, and he's still there. Even though virtually every Senate Democrat has said he needs to leave, they haven't taken any further action to actually remove him or anything like that. So, well, we'll wait for the investigation. The investigation will tell us whether he's actually committed a crime. And again, they didn't extend that courtesy to George Santos. And I thought it was funny. Fetterman, I don't like him. He's an anti-gunner, he's woke, etc. But he is a good troll. I'll give Fetterman credit. His cognitive skills have definitely markedly improved. He's fully coherent now. He's not even remotely like he was even 6 months ago, so whoever the fuck his cognitive specialist is deserves a pay raise. Now, he trolled Bob Menendez by getting George Santos to do a cameo for him, and thought that was admittedly funny. We'll give Fetterman credit for at least being a bit of a chucklehead. He also trolls the Gaza protesters as often as possible. He seems to be amused by this on a personal level. Here's the conundrum, though. The GOP can learn the tactics of the Democrats and start playing dirty. So conservatives and or at least people who are not neoliberal or left can start to do that. Exploit the legal system, use double standards, be hypocrites and stuff like that. Play dirty. They would be more likely to win if they do so. If you're playing by the rules and your opponent's ignoring the rules, you tend to lose. It's like if I play a chess game against somebody who thinks, oh yeah, I mean the knight can just magically teleport to the other side of the board. By the way, checkmate. You don't really stand much of a chance, do you? It brings up a very interesting bit in Blaylock's Elfin Ship, my favorite book of all time, by the way, where there's this bookseller, and by the way, James Blaylock, one of the greatest authors, great dude. At one point, Jonathan Bing, the main protagonist, is in a bookshop. He's a bibliophile. He's obsessed with sword and sorcery books. I think that Blaylock probably modeled some aspects of this character on himself. I'm pretty sure of that, considering he's an author. I can sympathize as I look at my bookshelf over there, which is now overflowing. But there's this dude, and he's playing a chess game against a book. And the book is something like, it's about unorthodox chess moves. And so he's playing by the rules, and his opponent is doing whatever it wants. Like at one point, moves the bishop forward like 3 squares and then to the side, and Bing's like, well, I don't know if that's a real chess move. But then he's like, well, have you seen my opponent? And Jonathan Bing says, well, you know, if the book is cheating, why don't you cheat too? And he's like, I don't do that. It's a grumpy dwarven bookseller. And Bing's like, oh, okay. All right, don't worry. I'm not saying you're a cheater or anything. The conundrum, though, is that if you do start playing dirty, if you do cheat, etc., then you're no better than your opponent. So then you get 2 democratic parties. Well, what's the fucking difference? The conundrum goes further, though. If you don't beat them, and you don't then how do you stop them and hold them accountable? The problem is that it's a catch-22. There's no solution to it. You either devolve into the same kind of corruption as your opponent, in which case you're no better, or you don't, and you lose, and your opponent always has the upper hand. And so, I mean, I can't, honestly, I've pondered this now for years, because I always berate the Republican Party for being losers. They lose with grace. Well, we didn't beat them this time. Yeah, there goes the Second Amendment, free expression, states' rights, and we started another war, but we did what was legal, what was constitutional. And they bow their heads solemnly, and then they take a step back, and then they get out of the limelight and allow the opponent to basically throw his shit around and stuff like that. It's like, oh yeah, we elected Satan, but at least we played by the rules, boys. We played a clean game, and I know that they cheated, but, you know, we lost fair and square somehow anyway, even though that was a thing. You look at Russiagate and stuff. The Republicans refuse to hold rank on things like this. You have a massive overarching conspiracy by the Uniparty, including some Republicans, by the way, right now, to effectively sell the entire nation downriver, destroying the First Amendment especially in the process, as well as the right to a free trial, the right to defend yourself, the right to, well, basically all of them. They're all being hazarded. I'd be surprised if the Democrats did get their way. They'd probably bring slavery back, considering how many rich white NIMBYists are in charge. And then they're going back to the three-fifths compromise, boys. Sounds like a good idea to Elizabeth Warren, maybe. She gets an extra vote because of her one Peruvian ancestor, maybe. The conundrum can't be solved, though. Human corruption will always be there. This is why the founders, by the way, warned against partisan politics. People see an R or a D after the name, and they don't even care about the content of the character. Oh, well, you're a Republican. You must be a swell guy, but you've got a D after your name. You must be a scumbag and stuff like that. Political parties are cancer. That's why I've never joined one. I've tacitly supported the LP at times. I support the Trump wing of the Republican Party, like the Rand Pauls, Ron Pauls, Trumps, and people like that, the Massies. But I'm not going to join the Republican Party because who am I supposed to join? I can join the Democrats who are evil and trying to destroy the country. Well, you know, I could win office, but I'd be a scumfuck. Or I can join the Republicans and they'll just throw me under the bus and I'll probably die in a jail cell or something because somebody complained about a tax return from 15 years ago. Why would I join one of these parties? Wouldn't make any sense now, would it? I like to think of myself as a little bit more rational than the football team mentality politics that a lot of people have anyway. Thankfully, it looks like a lot more people are waking up. Independent voter affiliation is soaring. Democrat and Republican Party affiliation has grown to one of its lowest levels in a very, very long time. Some people are like, whoa, this shows the disaffection of the American public. The public is worried and stressed and things are chaotic. No, I see it as a good thing. I don't care if the public has to be worried in order for that to be a thing. If the Democratic and Republican parties collapsed outright and there were no political fronts in the United States, we'd be better off. Then we could finally look at people and force the public to look at the actual issues. What have they done? What did they say they want to do? It's as simple as that. It'd be a better country if that were the way that things worked. As far as this conundrum, I can't give you any answers because there's no right answer. And those situations happen all too commonly, and they fucking suck. But the Republicans have to suck it up and figure out, do you want to win or do you want to be losers? Well, I can't tell you which one is worse in the end because neither option is good. That's about all. Peace out.